Why don't we start with Ms. O'Connell?
Hi, good morning. I'm a senior mom. We live in the Annapolis area, and my son is involved in the Kelly Scholar Program. He is involved in indoor and outdoor track. He does peer tutoring with the National Honor Society, and he's very involved in Model UN. So he's fully embraced the mantra of not being an 8-to-2 student, and has really loved the MSJ community. Thanks.
Awesome. How about let's go to Miss Joyce.
Hi, I'm Kara Joyce. I have actually two sons at St. Joe. I have a senior and a freshman there. One that will, and actually they both play ice hockey. And at the moment they're both playing football and they play baseball in the spring. It's an exciting time. As Aaron said, they're not they don't go home right after school anymore, and they stay all day, and they're loving this hybrid thing that they can actually get themselves at school.
Excellent. How about Ms. Miller?
Good morning. I'm Kathleen Miller, and I have a senior, and I also have a son who graduated in 2018. He's in his third year at the Naval Academy. And Sean is my senior, and he is involved with track, cross country, indoor, outdoor track, student government, the O'Neill Peer Educator Program, the Environmental Sciences Club. So again, like the other moms who have spoken about their children's experiences, both kids really got involved. And we came from public school, elementary and middle school. So that was a transition for them and a priority to meet people. So I just want to say welcome, and we're really happy you're here.
Thank you. Ms. Stinnett.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kim Stinnett, and I also have a senior this year. Just like everyone else, he is involved. This year, he is the president of the Future Physicians Club. He also does the investment club. He does the business club. As well as, I didn't say we live in Columbia, Maryland, but he also does sports. So last year and this year, he is center on varsity football, as well as he plays rugby. So we've had a great 4 years. He's loved it. Just like Kathleen, we came from public school for elementary and middle school, but he's made friends, and it's just been an awesome experience. I'm kind of sort of sad for it to end, but it's been great. So again, welcome to you all.
Excellent, excellent. We have two fathers, those two, Mr. Walker.
Hi, I'm Jeff Walker. I'm also president of the Mount St. Joe Fathers Club, and I've got two sons. My oldest graduated from St. Joe last year. He's now a freshman at the College of Charleston. He was a Kelly Scholar at St. Joe. He played involved in clubs, the Leadership Club. Unfortunately, those boys are on the sideline today. I have a sophomore there as well, and they've just both embraced the Mount, and it's been a phenomenal experience for us, even during the times of COVID. And any questions, please fire away, and we're glad to have you here.
And last but certainly not least, Mr. Ferneri. Oh, I think Mr. Ferneri's muted there.
Can you hear me now?
We can, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, my name is Tim Ferneri, and I have a son who's a senior there. He's also a Kelly Scholar. He's not really much of the athlete, though he did do swimming, more to stay in shape, but he's been doing band. He's part of the crew in the plays. So he's been very active. He's had a really good experience at the school, and he's definitely not a 9-to-2 person.
Awesome. Excellent. Well, thank you. So folks, if you have any questions for our families here, feel free to use the chat box. You can always unmute yourself. And we'll kind of field some questions we're going through. I have a couple quick questions I'll throw out there to maybe get things started for us if we don't have any other ones. Just kind of general questions we get a lot from parents. As you heard, most of these families in here, their sons are embracing the Mount. But as far as like coming from middle school to high school, how demanding are the classes for your sons? Were they prepared coming in? Did they struggle at first? What was it like for them? And any one of the St. Joe parents can jump on that one.
I think from in my standpoint, both of my boys, they came through the parochial school systems, and the transition was relatively easy. Was the workload different? Most certainly. But the most important thing that they learned taking from middle school into Mount St. Joe was the concept of budgeting time, because time is the one thing that's critical for our sons, because the workload is a little bit heavier. They're taking it. It's a college prep school, and they're going to be expected to work, and that's one of the things that they did have to work on, that just get that time budgeted properly.
Perfect. And obviously, with all these families coming from different areas, do your sons find it difficult to interact with their classmates that maybe they meet? You know, considering St. Joe pulls from 11 different counties.
No, absolutely not. Of course, you are going to be the Uber if your son is not driving yet. So, I've been, my son's been to parties in, I don't know, like almost to Pennsylvania, Anne Arundel County, all over the place. But I don't mind, because I want him to have a great high school experience. Fortunately, now he's just got his license. However, he can't go anywhere because of COVID. But it has not been hard at all. And I've enjoyed him meeting new friends, and I've been grateful to be his Uber driver.
Excellent. One of the questions we get a lot sometimes from boys, maybe not as much parents, but obviously being an all-boys school, how easy or difficult is it for your sons to maybe interact with girls? They're coming from maybe co-ed schools and coming into an all-boys school. Is that a challenge? Is that something they missed considerably?
I can speak to that. Again, we live in the Annapolis area, so I was very concerned. We weren't even necessarily looking for the all boys experience, but through their friends, they meet girls. MDSA has mixers, as does Mount St. Joe. There are girls involved in the drama department. So there are girls on campus under normal circumstances, as well as at football games and soccer games under, again, normal circumstances. They find a way that they will meet people and interact. So it was not a problem at all. Again, I would get involved.
I just would like to echo what Aaron said. I think, I know Mount Sills, their track team practices, indoor and outdoor at Mount St. Joe. But I think they meet girls, and both of my sons, had managed to have little girlfriends during high school at different times. And but what I really love about the single sex environment is that the boys are boys and they are truly themselves. And the faculty gets boys, and they just the dynamic and the friendships and the support and the banter. You might not interpret some of the banter as support, but it really is. And I feel that both of my sons have grown just to be really comfortable with who they are, and confident, a quiet confidence that I think is really nurtured in this type of environment. And believe me, through their friendships, they meet, their guys have friends that are girls, and they make great friendships that way as well.
Can I echo on something that Kathleen just said? And this is more pertinent to the time we're living in right now with COVID. The brotherhood that our sons build up, I've seen playing out right now with the texting. And I know we don't want our kids on the Xbox all the time, but my oldest right now, in the evening, he's going back and forth with a Mount grad at the University of Wisconsin, his buddy, another one at the University of South Carolina. And they're working things out as young men in the way that they do it in the 21st century here. And it's a support network that they've developed over 4 years at the Mount. And it's neat to see. At first I was like, what are you doing texting all the time? Well, you know what? I get it now. It's part of the way they communicate. And I think it's critical in helping them get through this time and trying to distill things and how to learn how to work with things as it's been presented to them, whether they have a choice in it or not.
One of the questions that came in, sorry to interrupt, but one of the parents visiting us now asked if you could maybe say a couple things, or maybe one thing that you like best about St. Joe, maybe from a parent perspective.
Community. To echo what Jeff just said, and also what Kathleen said, I have been absolutely blown away by the sense of community, both with the faculty as well as the parents and the boys. It's just an unbelievable place, special place, and the community and everything that Jeff just mentioned as far as alumni connections. The community has been unbelievable.
And also to add on to that question, how about, is there anything that maybe you are not a huge fan of, or you think that could be an improvement for St. Joe? Because I mean, why I think we do things great, there's always room for improvement. Again, that's any St. Joe parent.
I think part of it might be an adjustment from your child being in middle school, going to high school. But sometimes I feel that the communication could improve, if I'm being very honest. And the communication often comes through your son, which is a good thing. But maybe, boys will be boys. So you build your networks and you join parent organizations or not. You have carpool friends, you'll have if your child's involved in the theater, you'll develop relationships, and that often becomes your communication network. The school does communicate, but I don't know if it's unique, it's a transition, and where you're not as maybe involved as in the day-to-day as you would in elementary school. And so it's also a transition for parents and learning where to find information on plus portals, and it's there. So I don't want it to sound like a huge negative, but that's a difference.
My only deal would be is I have a military background from the Marine Corps, and it's about the rules as far as I'm concerned. So the dress code and the requirements for hair, the grooming standards, it drives me nuts every time I come in there and pants are dragging on the ground and they're not wearing the uniform that they're supposed to be wearing, or the hair is below the ears, or there's chin hair, but it works itself out.
Hi, my name is Ed Nottingham. I'm not only a former parent, our kids and my wife Roxanne, our older son graduated in 2015, but I'm a class of 1983 alumnus. And I want to talk to two things. As far as St. Joe, they know how to teach boys. They know how to deal with boys. They know how to get boys who are trying to not learn to learn. And it is a communal effort, and it is a directed effort. So if you have that kid who, tries to skirt the rules, trust me, the brothers will deal with him. If you have that son who is a bookworm, then there's a place for him. The jock, the same thing. I would like to see, and again, my class had 17 of us, and we are all to this day, minus the two who've passed away, still great friends. These are the best men in my wedding. They carried my parents to their grave. They were mountain men, and we stay in touch all during the week. And this is from 40 years ago. But there were only two African-American teachers when we were there, Mrs. Thorne and Mike Merritt. I'd like to see St. Joe have a little bit more diversity as far as the teachers. That would be a great thing. It'd always be great to have somebody who looks like us, to be able to have that, there are a lot of interpersonal conversations. For me, it was with Jerry Naylor, who still looks like he did in 1982. But he was a great source for me to speak with. And it would have been just as great to have somebody who understood what it was like to be a young African-American man and who's growing into the society. So that's my comment.
And Mr. Nottingham, thank you very much for that. And I think that's something the administration's been really pushing hard over the last couple of years, is looking to hire more minority teachers so that we have a chance for students to have that connection coming in. So that's always good. And that's something we're really pushing hard for. So we had another couple quick questions here. says, how do your children feel about the Mount enhancing their global competence? Their confidence in living in obviously a new world, very multicultural, diverse society.
I guess I could answer that. If you can hear me.
Yes.
I think the biggest thing that I have noticed, and the thing I'll guess is the biggest positive that I've seen, is seeing a development, not of my son, but of everyone else who's gone through those 4 years of the Mount. They come out as men, and I know it's a marketing thing, but it's actually true. And then when you compare them, when you see other high school graduates and you see the way they act, it's just it totally makes you feel like you made the right decision to send them to the Mount.
We had another question here. What is MSJ's stance on discipline? Your kids make mistakes, and it's a time of learning. And I guess I can throw a little bit out there too. We're real direct with our guys. We let them know what expectations are in the classroom, out of the classroom, how to carry themselves, how to treat other people. So I think it's very important for these young men to hopefully live up to those standards. We set that bar, we let them know where it is. But we do know we're dealing with teenagers, so they don't always think past 10 or 15 seconds. So we correct them when we need to. And hopefully it's not something so catastrophic that time will end with us. But most of our guys are great guys. Let's see, a couple more questions here. We had one parent mentioned it, and a couple people, and Mr. Nottingham, you mentioned it too, and I think maybe Miss Miller mentioned it. That St. Joe knows how to teach boys and educate young men. So, if parents, if you could expand on maybe what you mean a little bit more about that, and what does that mean to you? I know Mr. Nottingham did a great job, but any other St. Joe parents, either on the panel or alumnus or former parents in this Zoom, are welcome to jump in on that. How do you explain that?
Well, from my standpoint, I transferred in from friends, and between friends, I don't think I'd let my dog go to friends. There was no direct. For me, I will say that I needed more of a structured environment, and the structure that Brother Brian brought from day one, when I went to my locker between classes to grab a book and ended up with 2 days of jug, justice unto God, for those who don't know what that is, let me know that there were rules to be followed, and there were certain ways things had to be done to become successful. Dave Norton was a great source of both angst and learning, because he made me understand that I had to do my very best if I wanted to participate in after school activities. And that is a lesson that carried me to this day, that I pass along to my sons, that I pass along to the kids that I coached. St. Joe doesn't teach with a broad brush. They are specific to the kids that the instructors get to know, or at least they did, and they did with Ed as well. They got to know the idiosyncrasies of the student, the Father Bechtels of the world. I hated English. It was the worst thing ever, but he saw in me something that I didn't see. And his honors English kept me employed for years. And I'm an architect, but my honors English was able to, I was able to do things for companies that other folks weren't able to do. And I tried my best to get out of that class. My mother made me stay there, and it's one of the best things that ever happened to me. So the teachers will give your son the individual attention that, as a parent, I think is important. You're not just going to get passed along because you're the quarterback. You're not going to get passed along because you're all Metro catcher. You're going to have to do your work. But if you have an issue, they're going to help you versus giving you a broad brush or brush off. That was my experience.
I'm trying to mute myself so I don't get any feedback here. Another quick question from Miss Clark came in. Why do you feel that your son or sons chose Mount St. Joe over public school, if that was the situation, or as we are in Baltimore, loaded with some really good quality schools? Obviously, none more quality than Mount St. Joe. But why did your sons choose Mount St. Joe? What was it that really drew them to this school? And St. Joe parents, fire away.
Mine was actually really the campus. They both came from public schools, and just being in one school building, it really made a difference that pretty much after every class, they're walking outside, and it's more the college campus feel, a small college campus feel, and they love that part of it.
I could also say just the individualized, to echo Mr. Nottingham, I think the individualized approach and the opportunity to take more advanced level classes, for my son, but I also know for kids involved in the DePaul program, as I think a couple of the parents have talked about, it is just such a specialized curriculum, such that they want to teach the boys to their level, but they also want them to push themselves. And I feel like the individualized approach, even in a large class, I think there's 260, 70 kids in the senior class. They're very specialized in how they teach to each student. So that was a big push for us to go to Mount St. Joe.
I think for me, for both of my sons, we live in Howard County. They have wonderful schools here. But we made the decision, and a lot of it was based on the fact that Mount St. Joe, and let's not get away from it, is a faith-based school. And the values and mores taught at Mount St. Joe resonate even more this day and age, and I think are critical. And they're interwoven into the curriculum there. And if it's not part of the curriculum, then we didn't want any part of it. And that's one aspect of it. The other thing is, in this day and age of the bar being lowered and expectations being watered down so much, it's quite the opposite of Mount St. Joe. The bar is being raised. Expectations are higher.
Perfect. Excellent. Oh, I think maybe Mr. Walker's frozen there a little bit.
I could probably chime in because I have kind of a unique outlook on it, because my wife actually works in the public school. And the big thing that she strives is discipline. The lack of discipline that is in public school compared to Mount St. Joe is just makes a huge difference in how they're educated. You're not going to disrupt the class in Mount St. Joe and get away with it. And a lot of the public schools you will. And so that was really the big thing for us, was to get him in an environment where he could thrive academically, and not have this disruption that she sees working in the public schools in a lot of the classes.
I have to
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, I was just going to say I have to agree with that. We also we live in Howard County as well, and Howard County totes great schools, but just Mount St. Joe just had such a great reputation. And the same thing, we wanted, we're not Catholic, but I wanted for my son, and my son wanted it for himself, to have that faith-based type of education and all the rest. And again, we came from a great school, public school, but I don't regret not 1 minute. We are so glad that he was, able to have this high school experience.
And folks, I'm happy to keep letting you ask some questions of parents and talk more about St. Joe. But if you do want to jump into the academic Zooms, they're getting ready to start at 11 o'clock. But they'll run from 11 to 1. So you got plenty of opportunity to jump into different subject matters. So you don't have to leave, but I just want to give you a heads up. You got about 4 minutes before those first 11 o'clock ones get rolling. But like I said, you're welcome to stay on here. We'll keep asking some questions. This is great. Another quick question that came through, and Ms. Nett, you kind of mentioned your family's not Catholic. So, and I hear this a lot when talking to prospective families. As a non-Catholic parent, is the idea of your son taking a theology class or having to attend masses and prayer service and things, with that Catholic perspective, is that difficult for your son? Was that a difficult decision for you as a family. And we do have a lot of non-Catholic Christian families that attend St. Joe, and a lot of non-Christian families that attend, Jewish families, Muslim families, Hindu families, so pretty wide range. But to that, if any of the St. Joe parents on here that are non-Catholic, was that a concern? Was it a challenge for your sons? I'll leave it open.
No, for us, not at all. I mean, of course, we go to church. We're of the Baptist faith and everything, but it wasn't a problem at all for him. And of course, the theology classes he learned. I mean, of course, he went to Sunday school and all the rest, but he's learned so much. And believe it or not, that's theology class has been one of his toughest classes. I mean, he's always done well, but still, but no, it has not been. It's been a good thing for us.
We've had a couple questions on the chat about DePaul families. And unfortunately, I don't think we have any DePaul parents on here at the moment. We had a couple that were supposed to be on, but were unable to attend. We do have a DePaul info session coming up later on this afternoon between 1 and 2. But if you would like to be connected personally with some DePaul families, please feel free to email me at mhoffman@msjnet.edu. My information is on the website as well. And I'd be happy to connect you with a number of DePaul families that love talking about their experience with their sons. But there is going to be a DePaul session later on. So I do apologize. We don't have any DePaul families or parents on here at this moment, but we definitely have that going on. We had a question from Vernon, and we mentioned this a little earlier, but I'll throw it back out there again. The question of, we've obviously said some pretty great things about the school, but again, maybe things that you're not happy with, you don't like about the school. And we mentioned communication earlier, just kind of adjusting to that fact. But for the St. Joe families, is there anything that, and again, this is not going to, be a negative on your sons at all, but is there anything that you don't like about St. Joe? Anything we're doing that we not doing well, that we should be doing better? I'm sure there's plenty. We do have a Parent Connect piece on our website, folks. So, and that's all encrypted. All we ever see is that family A is talking to family B. So I would encourage you to reach out to on that Parent Connect piece that's on our admissions page. And maybe families would be a little more apt to talk about what they don't like when I'm not sitting on the Zoom. But again, I'm happy to, again, I don't think we do everything perfect, but that is a great question because we got a lot of good things going on. Here's a good question. This came through from Jen S. How are new students supported in terms of transitioning from middle school to high school? I can do a quick overview, and then if any parents want to kind of mention their part, St. Joe does a 4-day orientation for their freshmen coming in. 3 days of getting to know the school, expectations, history, getting to know your new buddies. We do a Big Brother program, and then we have a full day of classes under their belt before we bring the rest of the school in. And then, everyone's assigned counselors and things like that. But the Big Brother program has been a big help. But as St. Joe parents, your son's coming in from middle school, was that a challenge for them to acclimate? And what were some of those challenges they had coming in?
I can tell you from our perspective, my son really didn't know anyone. He had a handful of folks that he peripherally knew, but that orientation program was phenomenal in having him meet not only students that are in his grade, but also with the senior and junior orientation leaders. So it really gave them a connection to the upperclassmen as well. So that was a phenomenal program.
And for us, my son did sports, so he played football. So from middle school, when he was here, I want to say that they started maybe like in April, like once a week, the coaches would let them come and practice with the team. And then the whole summer before 9th grade, he was at the school every day. And so by the time he started, his first day of 9th grade, he had friends and all the rest. So, I don't know if all kids don't play sports, but that was one good thing for us.
And it's a great thing, tagging on what Kim said about sports. They do offer camps. I know baseball, mountain biking is a big one, volleyball during the summer. And I would definitely seek out those opportunities because once those kids get to school, they sort of have built-in friends already.
And we offer some non-sport camps as well. We have some STEM camps over the summer, and we do a study skills course the guys can take over the summer as well coming in. We have original credit courses. So there's a lot of opportunity for students to meet each other prior to coming in. But the Big Brother program was actually a senior initiative almost 20 years ago, where we had a group of seniors that felt we needed to take better care of our freshmen. So again, we put a lot of onus on our students to make us a better school every year they come in, and what can they do to make us a better place by the time they leave. So that's always a bonus. We had a question from Brian.
One more thing, Mark. I highly recommend the study skills class during the summer. Also, especially if you're coming from public schools. Both of my kids did take that, even though I think they were pretty prepared, but it was definitely a huge help to them just to know like the schedule before they got there and those type of things that they were not used to, because we didn't have the type of scheduling we have, like we switch days and that stuff. It was a great thing for them to do before they got there.
And also the guidance department is especially attentive to freshmen and their transition, and they have they attend freshman, I believe, theology classes and do little lessons on typical transition, types of challenges and skills.
That's correct. It's a freshman seminar course that's taught in place of that theology class once a cycle, but it really get the guys transitioning in. And because we pull from everywhere, again, all over the state of Maryland, all types of different schools. So it very much is a melting pot of guys coming in. We had another question again from Brian P. Asking if St. Joe encourages boys of different grades and ages to bond and build those relationships, like anything like intergrade houses or things like that. I'll do a quick one. We do. I think, a couple parents talked about it, the different clubs and sports and things like that, or other activities, robotics clubs and theater clubs and things like that. You have a ton of different age groups and levels that come in. So you start finding guys that have similar interests and are like-minded individuals. But for the St. Joe parents on here, did your sons were they able to connect with guys that were maybe a couple grades above them or grades below them, or how's that working out?
I think it's, again, through activities, and also there is the peer ed program where juniors and seniors go into freshman classes and talk about things like peer pressure and stress. And there's like a series of lessons and that are taught by the juniors and seniors to a freshman a freshman theology class. And so I do think the school tries to find very intentional ways. I mean, there's also unintentional ways, which is through activities, but intentional ways to build leadership opportunities for the older students, and also to forge relationships between the different grade levels.
Excellent. We had another, go ahead, Mr. Walker. No, we had another question come in from Mr. Flowers. I mentioned STEM camps and things like that. And the question was, is time allowed for technology that's maybe not afforded in a public school, since coding and hacking, programming maybe aren't given as much attention to sports. We have a pretty robust computer science department teaching multiple computer programming languages, engineering classes, pretty much all things STEM related. Our new principal, Mr. Espinosa, is pushing hard to develop a innovation lab. We have a lot of those pieces kind of spread out on campus, but the chance to kind of pull them all together into one location to really like a 21st century shop class, I would say. And another nice thing I think St. Joe does well is every one of our academic departments has, at a minimum, and in many cases, multiple extracurricular opportunities. So we have coding classes, robotics classes. We also have, First Tech Challenge teams, robotics teams, Cyber Patriots, which is a cybersecurity team. We have video game development club, which are guys who want to learn how to program and program video games on top of playing video games. So we do, again, it's one of those things, we try and find enough for our guys to be maybe overly involved. We say if you can't find something to do after school, you're not looking hard enough. So excellent. Any other questions, folks? All right. Well, like I said, I'm happy to stay on here. And, if you have any other questions that come up, don't hesitate to email myself or my assistant, Amber Borkowski. We're on the website on the admissions page. But like I said, I'll keep this Zoom open all day. So you can always pop back in and ask us any questions about admissions. And if you'd like to get in touch with any of our parents, maybe either on this panel today, or maybe they weren't here, you can always email me and I can pass on some contact info. And like I said, we do have a Parent Connect chat feature on our website from the admissions page where you can actually chat with, with other St. Joe parents that are on that portal there. So, but again, I'm here. So if you have questions, feel free.
Mr. Hoffman, there's a chat came through about questions about the opportunities for parental involvement. And that opportunity to go without a sales pitch for the Mothers Club and the Fathers Club. You all hear me? Because right now my Zoom's.
Maybe I can pick up till Mr. Walker comes back, but I can just say that the Mothers and Fathers Club is very, very, very active with the school. And to piggyback on what Kathleen said earlier, as far as the communications, we both have Facebook pages for the Mothers Club and the Fathers Club that the parents can ask questions. It's a great resource. The meetings are a great way to know what's going on campus, as well as we all know adolescent teenage boys aren't that communicative. And so it's a great way to meet other parents and stay connected and know what's going on. So I would definitely echo the plug for the Mothers and Fathers Club. If you're back, Jeff, I can't tell.
I'm back. Yes. Thank you. Sorry about that. I'm wonderful IT situation here in my household, but yeah, I'm, as I said earlier, president of the Fathers Club, and we are a service organization dedicated to helping the boys at the Mount. My wife is in with the Mothers Club, and even in times of COVID, we're still active. The moms did a phenomenal Halloween party for the staff and the administration last week, and just to let them know, campus meeting, and we're trying to work within the parameters that COVID allows us. And if you have questions about Mothers or Fathers Club, please go to the MSJ website and you can reach out to us and we'll be happy to answer your questions.
Excellent. Thank you. We had a question come in, and this may not necessarily be for some of our parents, but again, you can chime if you like, but it's more maybe an admissions question. Talk a little about academic-based scholarships and grants, mainly in terms of requirements and et cetera. So, tuition for this school year currently is $16,750. I wish I could tell you it's going to go down, but unfortunately, that's typically not the direction that private school tuition goes. If and when that happens, I'm going to buy lots of billboard space. So to help families with that, we do offer financial aid through facts based on family need and circumstance. There'll be a presentation about that later on this afternoon between 1 and 2 with our CFO. But that's all, you can fill that application out. It's very similar to what most high schools use. In addition, we have academic scholarships. They're based on your son's grades in middle schools, or his middle school, his high school placement test scores, which is the test that the boys are required to take for all Catholic high schools in December of their 8th grade year. And then we interview every applicant. So based on their grades, their test scores, and how their interview goes, we start awarding out academic scholarships. Typically, those academic scholarships range anywhere from $5,000 to $12,000 historically, but that all kind of depends on the pot of money we have that particular year that our development office has raised. We also offer merit-based scholarships. Those would cover things like art, music, community service, things outside of the classroom that your sons are involved in that are taxing their time, but they're still getting good grades. They have the opportunity to earn some small merit scholarships. And again, we look at their grades and their test scores and interview notes, and then again, what their involvement is. If it's music or art, I always ask parents to contact the admissions office, and we can put you in contact with the folks on our campus, whether it's music for an audition or art for submitting a portfolio. And if it has to do with, community service, athletics, other outside activities, I always ask just to have somebody from that organization send us a letter of recommendation, and we'll put that in your son's file. And then as we're sitting down as a committee, going through it and trying to allocate those scholarships, the more we know about your sons, the better information we have. Hopefully that answers some questions there, Karen. Awesome. Okay. Well, as I said, I'm happy to stay on, and I'll be staying on all day with this Zoom link. So whether it's a parent question or an admissions question, we're here. I do want to thank our MSJ parents for being here today. I know it's a lot to ask to get here at 10:30 in the morning to jump on a Zoom, but again, you guys make my job that much easier. Your sons make my job phenomenally easy because they're great young men. But again, I thank you very much for coming in. And again, our prospective families on here, you know, if you have any other questions, feel free to email me and I can put you in contact with any of the families on this panel today. As Mr. Walker and Mr. Connell said, you can go to the MSJ parent groups on Facebook and email there. And then we have that chat feature on our website, which would allow you to communicate with parents kind of encrypted so that I'm not seeing any of that. So if you have, want to find out the nitty gritty, they're always on there too. So again, any MSJ parents, anything else you want to add before you sign off? All right. Well, again, I thank you guys for coming in. Prospective families, again, I appreciate you coming today. I hope you have a chance to visit a lot of our academic Zooms and our special program Zooms. We have administrators on around too, so you can ask them away as well. We are offering campus tours in lieu of one-to-one shadow days. Unfortunately, the diocese is not letting us do those yet. But if you would like to come in for a campus tour, you can do that, sign up for those on our website. I love getting out from behind my desk and showing you our campus and answering any questions you guys may have. So everybody have a great rest of your Sunday. I can't